What's happening, people? Back again with one of hopefully the last solo podcasts. Not because I haven't been enjoying them, I've been enjoying getting better at them. I now feel like I can indeed chat absolute pony. Again, you want to try not swear in the first 30 seconds, and I find that evidently very difficult every single podcast. Today's episode, right, we're gonna get away from the whole weight loss thing. If you follow me, didn't really think about the chair choice, did I? Screeks does it. Fucking hell. Keep finding chairs on the street and keep upgrading and keep swapping to better chairs. So if you noticed in every podcast I'm on a different chair. I've seen this number, look like a mad gaming chair. You always know you're going to get a good chair if a gamer's been sitting on it. You also know that you could catch some sort of disease. But it's a risk I'm willing to take. You catch lisps from these chairs is what I've gathered so far. Anyway, right, so today's episode, before we get into it, it's going to be about the top 5 dates, but as you know, in the background I've been working on the Learn to Lift programme. It's now came together pretty nicely. I've got a few wee finishing bits. That's a lie, I've got quite a lot to do, but that's almost finished. Again, telling another wee lie. There's a good bit left to do. I'm going to stop lying to you. But it's going to be launching next week on the 2nd of February. I'm going to be working my absolute arse off until then, probably, to get everything together. But I've started just giving new wee bits to my clients. Been changing all the tutorials that people follow when they do their workout programs along with the form videos, and people are just picking up the cues way quicker because I'm going in depth. And when they get their workout program, there's little tutorials filmed by myself for all the videos, but the tutorials were quite old. I'm now obviously a way better coach, so I know what they're probably going to struggle with. There's a midgie here or a mosquito, and I'm going to punch fuck out of it in a second if I catch it again. But yeah, all the little form tutorials are out now, helping people even more before they even get to sending me their form. So everything's just going so much better. So again, launching on the 2nd of February. I'm not going to give you a big sales pitch about this one. It's definitely going to be the best coaching service I've ever delivered. I've been working on everything to do with it, everything I can think of that will make it better. I've been fixing everything to make it more efficient. I've been fixing so I can actually give people the attention they need. So there'll be a form below that you can apply, and if you've got any questions, just DM me on Instagram and I'll get back to you, whatever the question is, apart from if you just go, how much is it, mate? How much is it, mate? See, when people ask you that, they're not even interested. They just want to know how much you charge. So that's about the only question I want to reply to. If you've got any questions about how any of it works or what's actually included, message me. Right, sales pitch done, tick that off my wee list of things to do for today. Sales pitch for coaching done. Sign up. I'll change your life. I'll change your life. So what I get away from this podcast wasn't based on fat loss, weight loss, mindset. Everyone that's probably listened to all of them, I've probably listened to the last few and went, doesn't even sound like him. But this guy, well, actually I was taking a piss through most of them. I think I do that thing where I forget what I've even spoke about, but it was all the topics were weight loss. All I've been doing for the last 3 weeks is posting about weight loss, fat loss and gym tips on Instagram. When I do a podcast, I want to have a fucking laugh. I want to take the piss. I want to have somebody else to take the piss with and have it not focused on weight loss, fat loss or any of that. I don't even really want to have PTs on it that much. I'll have the odd one in, but I want to have this as a sort of other thing that I do that isn't, it'll help my business, but it's not really about that. It's about having a wee fucking piss take. Anyway, today's episode is about the top 5 worst dates I've ever been on. Before we get into this, I've numbered these really badly. I should have made it so that the first one that I talk about is last, sort of warms you up, because the first one makes me look horrific. But do you know what? Like everything else, I'm very blunt, and I'm just gonna say it as it is and how it was, even though it doesn't look great on myself. But you know what? It doesn't look great on her either, so fuck it. Also, if anyone has any stories, one of my favourite topics is worst dates. I love it. And I know that people who've listened to the podcast everyone loves talking about like dating, relationships, the other sex. Half the reason, I think, especially males, half of our thoughts are about the opposite sex. Like, they just are. That's all we think about. We're like, oh, we'll just make more money so we can attract more women. Oh, we will just learn another language and we'll learn Spanish so we can attract Spanish girls. This is how males' brains operate. So, and I know women are sitting fucking fingering themselves to 50 Shades of Grey. I said that. Oh, fuck off. Give me a break. Stop fingering yourself. So, most people like to talk about relationships. Oh, are my lips really red? I've been eating these things called cyclones. They're like twisters but back away. And I think they've made my lips really red. But they're really good, so I'll get over it. So, if you've got any date stories, I would love to hear about them. Message me on Instagram. Keep it concise, and I would enjoy reading your story. But here are my top 5 worst dates. So, the way I've literally got 5 sentences, right? The first one just says vegan Tinder girl. That is how this one starts off, right? So, I was about 19 and this is the first person I ever met off Tinder or any dating app. I'd only recently discovered what it was. I've probably only had the app for like a week. It's funny because the first person that ever showed me what Tinder was actually a podcast clip that got like quite a lot of views. And I've recently just met up with him and I haven't seen him probably since that day, and he's living in Australia. But his name's Connor. He was the first person, Connor Cartwright, right? I was friends with his wee sister, and he just came in one time. He was like still steaming, I think, and I remember him sitting next to me on the couch, and he was showing me this Tinder app, and nobody had ever heard anything like this. The only thing I could think was similar was like Friends Reunited. I remember going up my attic and finding my dad's profile to Friends Reunited and being like 12 and going, what the fuck is this? And he'd printed off like 10 women's profiles, and I was just like, this is Carol 40 from Air, and I was like fucking reading all of these women's profiles. Anyway, so he showed me what Tinder was. He came in, he was like, look at this, man, you swipe right if you want to shag them, you swipe left if you don't want to shag them. I was like, oh, that looks great, that looks class, Connor. I'll be downloading that. So straight away, I think I was then addicted to that app for the next week. Remember, I was testosterone through the roof. I was like 19. So I goes on this date with this girl. I nearly went to say her name. What are you doing, you psycho? Is that her name? I'm not saying it anyway. So I spoke to her for a wee bit. Probably just sent her text when I was steaming, you know. She probably just sent me text when she was steaming. She seemed alright, so I was like, right, I'll meet her in the middle of town on Buchanan Street. And on my way up, this makes me look so bad. Right, so I'm walking up Buchanan Street and she's gonna meet me at the top, and let's just say I seen her from a distance and I was like, whoa, she looks different. Let's just go with different. She looks a lot different to what I seen. Now, the mistake I made was she only had pictures of her face, which all of us now know is a red flag, but at the time I didn't, because dating apps were a new thing. So let's just say she looked a lot different to her picture. Now, we had planned for her to come to my house, and immediately when I seen her, I was like, I want that to happen. I don't want that to happen at all. I really, really don't want to go anywhere near my house, but I didn't know how to operate or navigate any of this situation, so I just literally froze. So we started walking to Glasgow Central to get the train to mine, and I'm like, the full time I'm like, oh, I have fucked this so badly. I don't want to go to my house, and we're on a train to my house. So on the train, I was like, fuck, do you want to go to the pub instead? Will we just go to the pub? So we've got 2 pubs near my house, I lived in a place called View Park. I always say Uddingston because View Park is a hole, and my dad gets well offended when I say it's a hole, but it's a fucking hole. It's vile. Anyway, there's a bar that I'd never been in, by the way. I'd never gone near the place, never went to school there, I don't know anyone there, so I would always go other places. Anyway, there's a bar, I can't even remember what it's called. There's a Chinese called the Laughing Buddha. There's nothing's a laugh about the place, it's a fucking shithole. Then there's a bar next to it, right? It's just the most disgusting little old man bar you've ever seen. And I hadn't been in it before, so I was like, there's no other options, we'll just go there. And we go into the bar, right? And I'd also put like at least 100 quid on a bet on the Grand National before I met this girl. And as we go in the bar, she's like, oh, by the way, I'm vegan and I'm highly against this whole Grand National thing. And I was like, I'm pretty sure you got no other option but to watch the Grand National as far as pubs are concerned. I wasn't, because I was like, honestly, in this full time I was with her, I was in like fight or flight mode, and I was in flight very much. My head was away with the fairies. I didn't know, but like now I'd maybe have the balls to just go, do you know what, this isn't for me, and just be like, really, really sorry, and go away. I don't even know if I could manage to do that now. I'd feel horrific about it. But as much as it maybe sounds like I'm being a shite bag, when I was there the full time, all I'm thinking about is I will feel horrific if she knows like what is actually going through my head. So I was actually trying to be nice, even though it doesn't sound like I was trying to be nice. I was trying to be nice. So anyway, I was like, I think we'll be watching the Grand National. To be honest, it's probably the biggest event in the country, so we'll be watching it. So I'm sitting there with bets on the horse racing next to someone who has probably been to protests about horse racing. So as you can imagine, it was pretty tense. Anyway, I'm sitting there getting absolutely off my tits, like the only way I knew how to deal with it. And after about an hour or two, I texted all my mates because I was going to go out after, because I was like, I need to go out after this. This is traumatizing. So she suggests going to mine, because mine's is like 5 minutes away. And I was like, oh no. And I was really, this is also going to sound horrific, I was really, really didn't want my dad to be there, because I know he would have slaughtered me. I just know he would have. And listen, if you wanted to tell me I'm a bad person, that's my dad. That is my dad, right? Fucking slag him. Anyway, we go to my house. We're drinking for a while. I've started kind of treating this like pre-drinks, and she's actually all right. She's not a bad person. It's just I still think, and I don't know, you can let me know your opinion, but I think if you massively, I suppose it just came out, so it wasn't as bad. But see, in this day and age, see if you're using pictures from 10 years ago and you're expecting like somebody to meet up with you and go like that, oh, they'll just love me for who I am. Fuck off. Show pictures of what you actually look like, because nobody's going to do that. You have to be attracted to someone. Personality obviously comes across as a thing as well. I don't look at people that I know are attractive and then automatically find them attractive. I need to see their personality as well. But it's not, you can't like then be attracted to just someone's personality. You need to be attracted to them. So if you're deceitful, it's going to this is what's going to happen to you. This date is what's going to happen to you. Anyway, right, we go back to mine, drinking a bit. I remember she kept on like coming round, like, I had a bunker in my kitchen. She kept like walking around it, and I just kept on walking around the other bit of it, and like making sure I was of equal distance the full time, which sounds horrific, but it was a horrific fucking day. Anyway, at one point she goes, can I go up and see your room? And I was like, oh, are you wanting me to come up and show you my room? Because that doesn't sound like something I'm keen for. So I just went to her, yeah, so you just go up the stairs and it's the first on the left. She just comes out the living room, goes up, looks at my room, comes back down. She's like, oh yeah, it's really nice. And I'm like, isn't it? Kill me. Everything about that full day was, I was sweating my tits off the full time, and I was traumatized for about a full week. I walked her to the bus stop for her to go home, and then she messaged me after, and I couldn't even do it, and I just never replied. I physically couldn't face it, and I learnt my lesson there and then. None of these next few dates have that trend. I very much, like, if someone didn't have a full body picture, I'd be like, I demand one off you, please. I demand to see a picture that involves your toes and your forehead, or I'm out. I'm out. Anyway, moving on to the next one. I'm trying to think what ones, because I've not really done them in order. This one, to this day, I still don't understand it. I still haven't got my head around it. I probably need to go for therapy about it. I still don't really know what happened. But this one was also involving Tinder. It's probably why I don't have dating apps. Probably fuck myself over that much, but some of these, that's why I don't. Are they all dating apps? No, one of them's not. 4 of them are. Most of these are when I was younger as well, by the way, so if you're judging the life out of me, these are all young Gav mistakes that older Gav has learned from, hence why he doesn't have dating apps. Anyway, this girl, I should actually say her name, because I would quite like people to like maybe find her and ask her, you know, what the fuck was going on in her brain. Anyway, spoke to her a wee bit on Tinder. She was from Edinburgh, so Edinburgh's easy to get to from where I live. So I jumped on the train and I went to meet her on like a Thursday night or something. It was like a weekday, and I was like, I'm gonna get the last train. So first thing, when I met her, she was taller than me. I'm not small, so she was 6 foot. I'm 5'11", 6 foot on dating apps, so that's maybe what fucked me over there. And I don't actually put that. Anyway, meet her in Waverley Station. I'm like, fuck me, she's taller than me. That already sort of freaks me out. And we go to this bar, like maybe like 10-15 minutes away from Waverley Station. Now, at this point, I don't know Edinburgh at all. I couldn't tell my arse from my elbow in Edinburgh. If you went, alright, we're just going to go to such and such street, or we're going to go to this bar, I wouldn't have a fucking clue. I'd probably been there like 3 times. I knew the train station. I knew like I'd been to like this Why Not club or something. I'd maybe been 3 times, but I was absolutely pissed every time. Don't remember any of it. Couldn't tell you where anything is. So she walks us to this bar like 15 minutes away. And the chat is so dry, it's unbelievable. I couldn't even get a word out of her. I remember going to the toilet and just going on my phone for like 10 minutes because I was like, I couldn't face going back out, because I was literally just like asking her questions and she would just say one word back to me. I'm like, this is great, this is well fun. And after that, like, so I think I was like, right, the last train's here in like half an hour, I'm gonna boost. And she was like, right, I'll walk you back. We weren't out that long. We weren't doing shots or anything. I would say I'd had 3 pints, and I was like, call it a day here. I'd already was like, nah, this is not going to be an overnighter. I'll be going on the train home. So she starts walking me back to the train station, and I sort of knew in my head where, what is it? It's Waverley, isn't it? Waverley train station's the main one in Edinburgh. So I was like, say we were like 6 streets away. We got to like the one where you're like 1 away, but I wasn't entirely sure. But I was like, I think Haymarket's round the corner. So being the gentleman I am, which you'll find out from these dating stories that I'm always a gentleman, I kissed her about 1 street that I thought in my head was away from Waverley. And then as soon as I kissed her, just say that lasted like 30 seconds or whatever, she grabbed my hand, right? She started walking me the opposite way. So my train is maybe in 15-20 minutes, and it's the last train to get back to Uddingston. From Edinburgh, I wasn't driving. Taxis are probably like 70 quid. I was 19 or 20. I wouldn't be spending 70. I'd have rather walked home than spend 70 quid on a taxi at that time. And she grabbed my hand, she started walking the other way. And I'm like, is this the way to the train station? She's like, yeah. And I was like, is it? I was like, I'm not too sure. And I've got, this woman is from Edinburgh, so I'll follow her. So she starts taking me away, And we were walking, and she's not saying anything. She didn't really say much anyway, but like, at this point she's actually being a mute. She's full on lost her ability to speak. And I'm like, and she's holding my hand and she's walking quite fast, and I'm like, isn't it back that way? And she keeps going, nah, it's not back this way, it's this way. And I'm like, right, okay. And we keep walking, and then it gets like 2 minutes. I look at my phone and I'm like, that train's in 10 minutes now, and I'm pretty sure I'm walking further away from it. So I was like, are we going somewhere? Like, are you taking me somewhere? Or are we going down an alley? You know, we're getting like, hello, I don't fancy the chat that much. You know, testosterone is through the roof. If you want to go, if you want to go down an alley, fine. Take my pants off, come on. No, that's not what I said. But I was like, what are you doing? Like, are we going somewhere? Do you know somewhere? Do you have a house here? I don't know anything about you. You don't speak. So she keeps walking me. And by the way, it's not as if she was a 10 out of 10 and I've been fucking scammed or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Just, it's not that way at all. So I'm looking at my phone and I've looked at the maps while she's got one hand and fucking her eyes are going forward. I've went like that and looked at my phone down at the side, and I'm looking at it and I'm going, yep, that's definitely walking the opposite way from the train station. And now I'm looking at it and going, that train doesn't look likely now, and I'm maybe stuck at Edinburgh. So it's now been going on for like 5 to 10 minutes, and I'm really starting to be like, but like, she's still got my hand, and I've like stopped a few times, and she's like, no, just come with me. And we keep walking. So maybe we've been walking for like 10 minutes at this point. I'm starting to like really freak out a wee bit. I'm like, what is this fucking woman doing? Anyway, we turn this corner and she's looking at her phone quite a lot as well. And then her phone, say it's 10-15 minutes of us walking the opposite direction. I'm looking at my phone as well, and because I don't know Edinburgh, I just see a green patch coming up, and I'm thinking that's a big park or something. I don't know what it is. It wasn't like Princess Street or anything. It was like further down, and I'm like, that's a big park or something, and it's really dark, and it's a park and it's dark. I don't like this out. I don't like either of those words rhyming right now. And she's looking at her phone, and then she looks at her phone and her phone dies, and she like lets go of my hand and starts like freaking out that her phone's died. And I just looked at her and went, I don't know what the fuck you're doing, but I'm not being part of any of it anymore. I'm away back to the train station. And I was like, you've fucking lost your mind, and I don't know who the fuck you are, and I don't know what the fuck you're planning on doing, but I'm not doing any of it. I'm away. So I started walking the other direction, right? And she starts like running behind me, so I like cross the road in front of these two cars so that she can't cross the road at the same time as me. And then she's like walking alongside me on the other side of the pavement whilst I'm walking back to the train station. And I keep looking at her going, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what are you doing? And I was like, and she was like, I'm sorry. I was like, sorry for what? What are you actually doing? I don't know what you're doing. And then I'm still walking, right? I'm still walking back to the train station. I can now hear her crying. I can literally hear her crying. And I'm like, nah. What is happening? I was like, what the fuck is she crying? She's crying as well now. So I honestly, I'm pushed into the train station. I just keep walking. I'm like, head down, fucking arse up, get myself to the Waverley train station. She's still following me. I'm still like that. What is going on? I'm gonna die. I'm getting killed. Anyway, we get to Waverley station, right? And she manages to catch up with me, and she starts giving me this spiel about how she was too drunk. She realises she was too drunk, and I'm like, you had 2 glasses of wine. I'm not buying it. I was like, where were you taking me? She was like, I don't know, I just got confused. And I was like, nope, not buying it. Absolutely not buying it. I was like, what happened when your phone died? And she was like, what do you mean? And I was like, you freaked out when your phone was died, and will you kidnapping me or what, or what's going on? And she was like, I don't know what you mean. I was like, why did you freak out when your phone died? Why did you stop what you were doing when your phone died? And why are you taking me away from the train station? And she just wouldn't answer me. I was like, right, cool. I don't know. I was like, cool. Let me go. Just let me leave, please. So I went down and like I'd looked up the trains. There was now going to be like a train where I had to like go to Livingston, get off for like 4 hours, and then get like a train to Uddingston at like 5 in the morning. It's like 12 o'clock, so you're talking like a 7-hour journey. I was like, right, fine, I'll just whatever, I get away for this, whatever, I'll do whatever. And I got on the train, and the train was leaving in like 10 minutes, and I knew one person in Edinburgh. His name was Gavin. I don't think he'll listen to this, but it'd be funny if he did. Anyway, I messaged him, go like, any chance I can stay at your house? He's like that. Yeah, and he gives me his address, and it's like a 10-minute walk from the train station. So I got off the train last minute. The ticket, I ran past the ticket guy, and he's like, what the fuck's wrong with this guy? Stressed out of my mind. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, run up, like there's these escalators up the side of Waverley that go up to like Princess Street. That's where I had the last interaction with that girl. And I come up the escalators, she's sitting at the bus stop, still like fucking standing there crying or fucking, I don't know what she was doing, if she was having an episode or something. And I just ran past her, and she seen me running past her. And I just sprint to my mate's house, and then I told him everything that happened. I still, honestly, to this day, I genuinely think it felt like she'd something set up. It felt like there was people in the park, and she was like because she was, whilst I was looking at my phone, she wasn't just looking at it, she was probably like messaging someone. And I was just like, my dad always said, what is it he always says? He's always like, if it doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. And that's what was going through my head. I was like, all of this doesn't feel right, it feels fucked. And I was just like, I'm out here. So I've told this story a few times, and people are just looking at me like, that's fucked, mate. I don't, like, what was she trying to do? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't actually know. Anyway, the next morning I woke up to like 8 texts from her, all of them not making any sense, about how she's sorry and she just got too drunk. I was like, you had 2 glasses of wine. Excuse me? You had 2 glasses of wine. We were sober. You're just fucked in the head, whatever you were going to do. And she bombarded me. She sent me about 12 messages. I was blunt to about 3 of them. I was just like, fuck off, freak. And then I put up a story of me and my mate a week later, and she replied to him, or she followed him and messaged him, and I was like, nah, she's lost it. She's actually lost her fucking brain. So yeah, there was that was that one. I think I'd have probably had a break off Tinder for a year after that one as well. No lessons to be learned. I don't know how you avoid things like that. What do you do? She didn't like seduce me. She didn't fucking send me nudes. She wasn't like the most like attractive girl I've ever went out with. I don't know what happened. Don't get it. Anyway, moving on. That was a long one. Right, number 3. Now another Tinder one. You see the trend. But again, this was young, testosterone fueled Gav. I've not really done dating apps for a long time. I got all my mistakes out of the way pretty early. Learned all my lessons. So these are all probably a year, all within like the same year or year and a half. I'm freaking out a wee bit because it says it's not. I can't see the video that it's filming, but it says that it's still recording and it's just the connection. So hopefully it all goes well. Anyway, this girl, she was actually pretty nice, right? And she seemed quite nice before I met her. Like this one, I'd maybe texted a wee bit back and forth, and I remember meeting her in Glasgow, and I remember never making this mistake again. The first thing I'd done was we went and got the subway to the West End within like a minute of meeting each other, and for the first 15 minutes she just kept trying to speak to me, and I'm like, what are you saying? I can't fucking hear you. And I just remember that being like 10 or 15 minutes, and then like I think now you can play that off and just have a laugh with it, or just literally go, let's just not speak for 10 minutes. Just it'll be easier for both of us because you cannot hear a word each other are saying. The videos came back on, we should be fine. Anyway, so By the time we get to the West End, we went to Ashton Lane, and the Underground station was round the corner from it. So at this point, we've not spoke like at all. We've maybe now got a minute walk from the Underground station to the pub. Can't remember what pub we went to, probably vodka or something. I was obsessed with that place when I was like 21. Anyway, we go there. So I ask her, what does she want? I remember her going, a house wine, and I honestly was like, what is that? I was like, what's a house wine? You want a wine for the house? I have no idea. But I honestly was like, I don't know what that is. And I get nervous asking the bartender, because I was like, this doesn't exist. A house wine, what is that? So the wine that you have in the house? That's what was going through my head. Anyway, it was red wine as well, so that's what she wanted. So I get a pint and a red wine, and I come back and we're sitting in the beer garden. So we're now talking, we've now exchanged probably 5 sentences between each other. We've finally got the 2 drinks. We finally can like just sit and like actually speak English to each other, and build rapport with each other, get to know each other. We're at that point finally, after a lot of minutes of awkwardness that felt like hours. She goes to pick up her wine. She picks it up. She's getting closer to her mouth. A bee comes out of nowhere, or a wasp. I never know that. Well, I do know the difference, but I can't remember for this story. Comes out of nowhere, lands on her hand. She shits herself. Absolutely shites herself. What she does is she shits herself so much that she actually throws the glass of wine, not the full glass, but just the contents of the glass. She throws it. Which direction does she throw it? My face. Which colour of top am I wearing? White. What smell do I hate more in the world? Wine. I've got red wine in my eyeball. It's dripping all down my white top. I still haven't spoke to this girl. There's a full family next to us of about 6 people. They've all seen it happen, and they're all pissing themselves. And I'm literally sitting there like, did you just throw a glass of house, the finest house red, over me? And although it did break the ice a wee bit, it was a good laugh. We had to postpone the whole talking thing, because I had to go for 10 minutes to try wash the wine out of my eyeball. And I can't remember, I think I actually went and bought another top. I think we sacked off the drinks, and I think I went and bought another top, because I had a white one and a jacket. It was all over my jacket and all over the top, and I was like, I actually need to have another, it was drenched in it. It's like, I need another top. We went and bought another top. I think I never ever met, I never went on another date with her. I think it was one of them that was alright, but I was like, and she was alright, but there was an hour where we didn't speak. And also, I was trying to figure out how, when the bee landed on her, that the wine couldn't just go to the side or over her set or anywhere, but it was straight down, straight in my face. And I was like, could that have went another direction? I don't know. Did the bee sting you? No, it didn't. Don't know. Fishy stuff, Anyway, next one. What's this one? Oh, yeah. Oh, this one was sort of traumatising, man. I told this story recently to someone, so it should be fresh in my head. I wish it was, I remember. The thing is, when I was telling this story again, this one's more, it's not that recent, maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. Met this girl in person, in the flesh. I think she actually asked for him. She was like a friend of a friend, and she came into the bar I worked in, and I can't remember, she told her mate she fancied me, or she gave me her number, or her mate told me she fancied me and asked for a number. Who knows? Can't remember. Details aren't that important. Anyway, I was like, she seems quite nice, and she's Irish. I quite like Irish girls, so I was like, let's go for a drink. So I think I went on 2 dates with her. I remember one of the first things she said was, I was like, oh, what are you doing in Australia? Because I was bartending at the time, and she was like, I've just moved over from Ireland, I've got an Aussie passport, and I was like, I'm in love. I've found my match. It's nothing to do with the passport. I just feel this connection, this real deep, meaningful connection with this girl that I've never felt in my full entire life. Anyway, we go on a date on the first one, as most of my dates went, but that period of my life, it involved a lot of alcohol. We just got up. Well, I don't know if she was as fucked as me, but I was fucking steaming. Anyway, go out around Melbourne and stuff. And then we go on another date, I think. And I think the second date we went on, we didn't have a lot of mutual mates, but we had one that I lived in the same apartment building with, who's the one that set us up, sort of. And she was out, and I think the second one, we maybe went out for a bit, or maybe that was the first one, who knows? I was steaming the full time, but we'd been on 2 dates, and I wouldn't say we were getting on unbelievably well, but there was a passport involved, so we were getting on unbelievably well in my head, you know. So we get to the third date, and I'm like, right, let's start phoning immigration lawyers, you know, let's get a show on the road. We get to the third date. She basically lives, I'll say the places if anyone knows them in Melbourne, and I'll also explain. Basically, I lived in a place called Elwood. Everyone that comes from back home, a lot of people will stay in St Kilda. It's like full of Irish people, full of English people, and then dotted around with a few fucking psychopathic Glaswegians. I say psychopathic because every Glaswegian I met was from Paisley, and every time, the first thing they said to me was, "What's your name?" I say Gavin. The second thing they would say to me is, "Where are you from?" I say Uddingston, and I'd be like, "Where are you from?" And then the third thing they would say to me is, "Do you want me to get you gear sent from back home?" That's how all my conversations went with every person I met from Glasgow. I've met a lot more this time, and none of them have offered me gear, but that was the trend 4 years ago for some reason. Anyway, so I'm living in a place called Elwood. She lives in a place called Balaclava, and we meet in the middle. So imagine she's like 30-minute walk away. Well, it's not really in the middle. She walked like 5 minutes or 10 minutes away from our house. We meet in the middle in a place where she was living in, called Balaclava. Anyway, so there's relevance to this, right? I'm not just fucking talking shit. Relevance to this. We go in this bar, right? We are maybe I'd say 2 pints down, two or three. Not just to the bit where you're feeling a wee bit funky, nothing too fucking mental. You're not ready to cut shapes or anything. And we're just chatting away, you know. I'm like, how's the passport going? She's like, still got it. I'm like, sweet, we're still on. And then she just looks at me and goes, "What's your thoughts on recycling?" And I'm like, I give it some deep thought, and I'm like, yeah, I would not fuck about with any sort of fucking cardboard, fucking my green milk bottles. They go straight in the blue bin. I don't even think about it. I was like, no green for me, straight in the blue bin. Don't want to fuck about with that shit, you know, straight in. And then she just starts sort of like digging deeper, and she was like, and like, would you ever like go help out with like recycling campaigns? And I'm like, I was like, maybe in the near future I could be open to that sort of idea. But in past experiences with recycling campaigns, I'm probably inactive, you know, probably a little bit inactive on that front. But she starts, well now, before I say any of the rest of that, I did have her on Instagram, and she did have one highlight reel, and it was called recycling. And I did decide to ignore it and not look at it. So, you know, you live and you learn, and I never learn. So, not only did she grill me about recycling for about half an hour, I don't know, maybe I was out with Greta Thunberg. Is she Irish? Secretly? Who knows? Anyway, she's grilling me on that, right? I'm not really enjoying it. to be fair, but I don't think I'm being cheeky or anything. I'm not really good with situations like that, as in like, I just can't pretend that I care. Like, because she's just been, I really don't like debating, especially about, I feel like people debate about stuff they don't know about, and I don't know anything about recycling. I've never once sat and read up on recycling. I just don't, it just doesn't, it doesn't do it for me, So she's grilling me on that. And then she starts picking other subjects. So you find when people are really debaters, like, proper, like, people that are into politics and into debating, these things come hand in hand with other subjects. So I can't remember what the other one, there was like 4 of them, right? I can't remember what the other ones, like Black Lives Matter and stuff, hadn't happened yet. The Me Too movement hadn't happened yet. So I can't remember. Wouldn't have been on gay rights or anything like that. Can't remember. Anyway, something, right? She's grilling me on something else. And I'm like, right. I didn't even have any controversial opinions. I didn't even state any of my opinions. It was literally like it's like a hairdryer in my face, just saying all of this stuff that she was really passionate about. And I'm sitting there like, fuck my life. Anyway, she's like trying to trip me up on everything as well, right? So anything you say, there's never a right answer anyway, because she'll just like spin you in another way till you say something that annoys her. And I was like, are you serious about you're not recycling? I was like, I'm fucking recycle. Fucking hell. Anyway, she now moves on to feminism. Now, I just find ultra feminists hilarious. I just find it really funny. Feminism is a movement that 99% of normal people support. Women equality is something most normal people support. You get the extreme feminists that it doesn't really matter what you say. If you're a male, you're fucked. Anyway, she's just, what was it she said? This is what I mean by tripping up, right? So this is what she said to me. She goes, so how do you feel when you're walking home from a night out? And I'm like, drunk, usually, and yet I would say I feel drunk, and I don't usually remember, but I feel drunk and I feel fine. Usually that's good for me at that time in my life. It'd be terrible now. And she's like, well, I feel like I could get raped at any point. And I'm like, oh, right, okay. And I was like, what do you suppose is gonna come from you shouting that at me? And she was like, well, boys, this problem with men. And I'm like, right, what do you want me to do about it? We're on a fucking date. You're screaming at me that you feel you could get raped at any point. What do you actually, this is a 3rd date. How could this go well? How could shouting that at me in a pub go well? Anyway, this is like the third pint that's came. I've not even drank it. It's been there for like an hour. I've finished the rest of it, and I was like, listen, I love your visa, I love your passport, but I'm away. I'm off. Not doing this anymore. Don't know, you've lost your mind. I don't like saying that about all women, but this was another case of someone losing their mind. So go to walk out the bar. Remember, she lives 5 minutes to the left, I live 20 minutes to the right. We come out and she's like, are you not, like, I was like, right, see you later. I didn't even go to hug her in, and she was like, you not walking me home? And I was like, am I fuck walking you home? You live 5 minutes away, 2 streets away, you walked here, get the fuck, leave me alone. And I walked home, and I remember, because I used to speak to her mate so much, I went down the next, I used to be hungover, and I would just go down. She was like an Irish girl, and she was like just like something like an Irish mother. She would just come in, like, I'd come down, she'd make me tea and all that, and we would just tell each other about our lives. And anyway, I went down the next day, and she was like, or like a week later actually, and she was like, oh, you didn't text thingy. Like, she hadn't texted me, but I hadn't texted her either. And she was like, oh, she's pretty fuming that you didn't text her. And I was like, listen, I need to tell you about your friend. She's lost her mind. And I told her everything that happened, and she was like, yeah, that sounds like her. And I was like, oh, Does it? Does it sound like her? Why didn't you tell me that before then? That would have been good information for me to know, you know. I should have watched the recycling highlight reel. Oh, I didn't even watch it after that. I don't have her in anything anymore. I'd love to have seen that. That would be some good content. Anyway, right, last one. Tinder again. Oh, 4 of these are dating apps. Fuck me. This one. Oh, what age am I in this? 24? That's not bad. See, I've learned a lot. I'm 24 in this. Over 3 years ago. Coming up on 3 years ago. Australia again. I just moved to Sydney. I've told this one quite a lot. I don't think I've told it on a podcast though. But I know there's people that listen to this podcast, and I've definitely told them these stories. Multiple people. But this one. So this girl, I'm not going to say anything bad about her. I'm her worst date story. The roles have reversed for this one. I'm 100% the story that... Oh, have you any fucked up dates? Yes, I met this weird Scottish boy in Sydney. This is what happened. So, I moved to Sydney. I remember I'd been in Melbourne for far too long. I'd done a winter and all that. Why move to Australia and do a 6-month-long winter? And I just remember waking up one day and just going, I've got like 8 months left of my visa. I need to try somewhere else. I need to do somewhere else. I'd been trying to apply for all these jobs in like the outback in Australia, getting, you know, a different cultural experience. I was like, do you know what? No one's getting back to me. I'm just going to try Sydney. I hated that everyone argued about Melbourne and Sydney being better than one another. I was like, I'm going to try Sydney. So put my room up and all that. Within 2 days, I just do stuff like this. Within 2 days, I was gone. I was out of there. I put my room up. Somebody got it. Then I done my last shift in work. I just was like, here, I'm not doing any more. And they're like, you can't just leave. And I was like, I'm just leaving. And yeah, someone came in with my room, and I booked a flight for the next day, and I done all my goodbyes on the one day, and I just went into like my old works and stuff, because my 2 jobs were right across the road from each other. I was like, here, bye, don't cry now. I know I've made a big impact on your life, and we'll stay in touch, and I'll come back, and you know, I'm back in Melbourne now. Do you know what I mean? That I was telling them this will happen. Like, I'll come back, be friends. One of the people I'm talking about right now, I'm staying in her house, and she was like, you just came and like, bye, I hate goodbyes, I'm off. I was like, I know, I'm here now. Fine, I'm here now. Anyway, I go to Sydney. I've got no friends. I know a few people that I went to school with. I know like 1 or 2 people that I don't really, like, I'm not that friendly with. I never went out with them in Melbourne, so I'm probably not going to go out with them in Sydney. I was like, I have no mates. Not really got any mates here. And I pissed down for the first full week, like torrential rain. I'm pretty sure people died and stuff, like mental rain. Anyway, it's been 3 weeks. I decided, like, I done one night in a hostel, and I hadn't stayed in a hostel in like a year. I hate hostels. I've done one since I came here. I'm not doing it again. But I done one night in a hostel. This French girl came up to me and she asked me something 3 times, and I gave her the same. She was like, where are you from? And I said something. I said something 3 times, and she was like, and she just kept saying what, and I was like, don't talk to me now. You don't need to talk to me. So I've got no friends in Sydney. It's been 3 weeks, so I get the dating apps out, and I'm talking to a few people on that. I was like, I actually want to meet, even if I'm not romantic, like, it doesn't become my girlfriend or someone I date, I just need to meet people and just start getting myself in social circles anyway. So I was like, I'll just do that. I'll just talk to a few people on Tinder and try and meet up with them. So I arranged this date for like a Thursday, and I actually get a job on the Monday working in a call centre. The worst job I've ever had in my life. I've probably spoke about it on here, but it was horrific, so bad. But at the start, it was good because we needed to get a police check, and we didn't get a police check for free. It didn't come through for 3 weeks, and they weren't allowed to train us. So we literally sat in a room for like 2 or 3 weeks, just 8 of us, without doing any work. Like, we just got locked in a room with no windows for like 2 or 3 weeks straight, and just was like, yeah, we've got nothing for you to do, just do what you want. And we'd be like colouring in and all that. So we all got really close really quickly. So they all became my really good mates, like, rapidly, and they were in the same position. A lot of them had just moved to Sydney or whatever, so you just latch on to each other when it's like that. And anyway, So I've like been out with them 2 times. I'm already like they're my best mates on the planet now. And on the Thursday that I was meant to meeting that girl, we get told that we can leave early, so we go hit a happy hour, like 4 hours before I'm meant to meet this girl. I maybe have like 4 or 5 pints, right? I'm a wee bit drunk, but then I've got like 3 hours until I meet her. So I'm gonna go back, shower, and then I'll go back and I'll be fine. It'll be fine, cause I'm not that drunk, and I've got 3 hours. I'll just shower, drink a load of water, eat 4 slices of plain bread, and I'll be fine. I'll be sound. So I do that, and I start going back into Sydney, into where the Opera House is, because that's where I was meeting her. And I'm like, I'm sober. I'm definitely 100% sober. I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine. Meet her and all that. She was actually really good looking. I'm like, she's nice. And I had like 3 places in my head that I would take her, and one of them was like a rooftop thing, which was far too fancy for me. So I was like, that sounds romantic. I'm not really about that. I'll maybe see if we'll go there later. We'll go to this random place first and just see what happens. So we go here, we get 2 drinks or whatever, and she, like, bear in mind, right, everything I'm saying is so bad on me, like it's all bad on me. So this is the one part of her. Well, actually, there was 2 parts. I forgot. There's one other part as well. One part at the very start, she just laid on so thick about how she came here with her ex-boyfriend, and I think she'd broke up with him like 2 or 3 weeks before, and she'd only been in Australia for like 5 weeks. So she just got there. She came with her ex. Her ex had cheated on her as soon as they got there, and then she broke up with him, and then she was on a date with me. She told me that straight away, and I was like, oh. And like, see when people lay on like breakup stories with you when you've not been through a breakup in a long time, you're just like, oh mate, and you know it's brittle, and you know that someone is not gonna be right, like not like psycho then, but you just know that like that's you can't. It's just done. Anyway, she just does that, and I'm like, right, she's raw. She's raw. So I'm like, right, I'll get another pint. So get another pint, and then we go to another. There's a place called the Argyle, and I knew what it was because I'd been there like 4 times already since I'd met all my mates. But I think we went to that. We went there most of the times that we got clocked off. So I'd been there before. I was like, right, we'll go here because I know what this is. And then we start ordering drinks, and I remember at one point she ordered like 4 Jamesons, and I ended up like, she made me drink 3 of them. She was like, I don't want that. She was like, you have it. I'm like, right, okay. And at this point I think I'm fine. And then the next thing you know, like my memory just fucking seriously just goes, like I black out, and I've got about 8 other memories spread over like 4 or 5 hours. I've blacked out, like I don't really remember anything. I'll go through my memories, right, and you can piece this all together. First memory, we are sitting in this place called the Argyle. We're sitting in like the corner, and I've already been in this corner before with my workmates, and I've looked at her and went like, do you know where my workmates are? Thinking that they were in there because I had been there the day before with them, because I was steaming. I was like, do you know where my workmates are? And she was like, no. And I was like, are they in here? And she was like, no. And I was like, cool. I was like, I'm fucked. I'm absolutely fucked. And then the full time she was on about dancing. The full time she just wanted to dance, and mostly when I go out, something I want to avoid is dancing, because I'm fucking terrible at it. I'd love to learn, but I'm terrible. I'm really bad at it. I can 2-step, that's about it. Even then, it's not great, but it's doable. Cover up. Anyway, she takes me to the dance floor in the place called the Argyle. Now, next memory. I've started grinding up against the wall. Okay? That's what's happening. We're not even like dancing together. We're like, I don't know, we're jiving in and about the dance floor. I've veered off. I went, this wall's mine. I've started grinding up and down it. Next thing you know, I've caught a nail on the wall, and I've ripped all of the back of my top open. Now this top, most people who listen to the podcast will know who my best mate Michael was. It was a Fred Perry top that Michael gave me when he left, and I probably had emotional attachments to it because Michael was my best mate at the time. I don't call him that anymore. And I liked the top, so it ripped open, right, and somehow I've got it in my head that it was her fault. I don't know. I've convinced myself that she ripped it somehow. Either that she's like wasn't the wall and she's actually just went and ripped it because I've maybe mentioned that I like it or something. But I've started like blaming it on her and like being pretty pissed off about it. I think this maybe last 10 minutes until she like calms me down and she's like, no, like this is all good, but you ripped it. I was like, yeah, no, now that makes sense. I did grind against the wall. I see it now. Yep, that was me. So we come back round. I'm like, I understand that it was me. Now we go to like another place. I've at this point, right, just say this is we've maybe met at like 6 or 7, right, and just say this is now like 9:30, 10. I had work the next day and I had to be up before 7 in the morning, I think. And I'm like, look, I'm really drunk. And I maybe say this like every 15 minutes. I'm like, I should go home. I'm of no use, so I can't speak, and I've got work in the morning. And she keeps on going, no, we're gonna go dancing. I'm like, oh, but I'm really drunk. Like I can't even really stand. And she's like, no, like you promised me a night out, so we'll go dancing. I'm like, okay. So we go to this other place before we go there, the rooftop place, I think. But I think we like never got in. Oh, I've got one memory sitting down on the seat and just being like, I'm fucking mangled. Didn't remember that. I had down the bottom. Anyway, I think like the rooftop was full or something. I remember coming back down and she heard some English guy behind her and she was just shouting about how much she hates English people and like shouting at them that she hates English people, but they don't really understand her because she's really Irish. But she's just talking about how much she hates English people. And then, we started kissing there, and we went up like a lift that goes. We went up this lift 3 times that didn't even go anywhere. Like it went up to like the train station or something, but we thought it took you down somewhere else. Forgot about that as well. Anyway, irrelevant. I just wanted to talk about her. She was fucking screaming about how she hated English people, which is like fine. Like we talk about how much we hate English people. Just we do it, like I don't want them to fight me, you know what I mean? And like I'll do it sarcastically so they think I'm joking, but I'm actually like, no, I do. Not kidding. Anyway, no, actually, see what I mean? That's what we do. We disguise it. Anyway, now we get to the point where I'm like, I'm really need to go home, and she's like, no, let's go dancing. So she takes me to this club. I don't really know where I am at this point, or like I don't really know the clubs in Sydney because I'm brand spanking new. We go to this club. Another memory. I remember having to hold the back of my top open, together, whilst one hand holding my top together, the other hand holding my passport. So the guy never noticed that the reason my hand was behind my back was because my top was ripped clean open. So we get in this club. My last memory in the club has her swinging me about to an Eminem song, that whatever Eminem song, and like somebody slagged the way is it Rihanna or Rihanna? You know that song with Eminem and Rihanna? Someone slagged the way I said Rihanna. I think I say it fine. There's an Eminem song with her. She was swinging me about to that, so we're not dancing. She's like swinging me about. My top's flying open out the back. I can feel a draft coming on my shoulder. And then at that point, I think I've maybe had 20 minutes in there, and I've went, right, let's go. I'm out. I'm done. And we're walking up the stairs, but this is all fuzzy. Like I don't remember this as a whole sequence. I'm picking like 4 memories and putting them together. There could be a lot more minutes in between this. Anyway, we're going up the stairs, and she is fuming, like fucking fuming, like so angry. I am not quite sure why she's angry, because I can't remember what's happened the 10 minutes previous to this. And I'm like thinking, there's a good chance I've said something out of order. I've already blamed her for ripping my top open, which was me. So I could have another blackout moment, and I could have said something ridiculous. I don't really know. Anyway, she books an Uber and I book an Uber, and they come at the same time, but we're standing like 10 minutes waiting on them, and I tried to speak to her once and she just completely blanked my existence. So we just stand right next to each other, because I think it was raining. So we're standing right next to each other in a shelter, but no words were spoken for like 10 minutes. And bear in mind, I'm probably like fucking falling about as well. Just go, work them whatever. And then I get in the Uber, she gets her in her Uber. We never ever speak ever again. I go into work the next day. When people say they have the fear, we need to come up for a new word for whatever I experienced that next day. I was like shaking. I was honestly like, she might go home after that. She might actually just go, fuck Australia, I'm away home. And I wrote out, I genuinely on Tinder, because I didn't have her, I don't think I had her number in it. I can't remember. No, I would have got a number probably. I can't remember. Anyway, I wrote out like this message that was just basically like, do you know what? Like, let's never ever speak again. I just want to say I'm sorry. And it was like also like, what happened at the end? Because I don't really know what happened. And I wrote it out like 3 times, and I was going to send it. And it was more of a like apology, and I also wanted to know what happened. But I was so scared that I'd said something that I was just like, fuck it. I was like, is it better to know, or is it better to not know? I was like, it's better to not know. And I was just like, do you know what? We'll just write this one off. The fear has overcometh me, and I'm going to let this one go. And we never ever, I didn't have her on any social media. I didn't message her ever again. She didn't message me. She probably went home. She probably now runs a group for people trying to overcome their bad date experiences. And good on her. I hope she does well. And I would, if she ever watched this, I would like to say I'm sorry. If I clip this up and it got her way, I would like to tell her that I'm not that weird. I know I ripped my own top. I know that now. I can remember it. I'm sorry. Yeah, that was fucking tragic. So tragic. So tragic. I've got one selfie with her on my phone. And I've went back a few times and see it. I'm like, oh, fuck, forgot about that. Oh my god, traumatizing. But yeah, I think that's my last one. That one still kind of haunts me to this day. It's probably why I'm doing a year off the drink, to be honest. Makes me sound like I was worse in the drink than what I am. I just drank a lot. I never usually was that bad. That was probably the worst one. That was probably my worst experience on drinking with blackouts and stuff. But yeah, that's me. If you got any date stories, please do let me know on my Instagram. I know my Instagram's all PT fat loss related, but I love hearing about stories like this, and I love doing like the odd story thing on Instagram and stuff. So if you've got any funny date stories, let me know. Appreciate everyone rating the podcast. We're now at like nearly 100 ratings. If we can get up to 100 5-star ratings, that'd be unbelievable. Guest podcast coming soon. Sean Casey's over next week, I think. I've got 2 other people that I'm going to get guests on, and then I'm going to start getting the Aussie guests on. Start going around Australia, Gallivant and all that. But yeah, appreciate you listening. I'm sweating my tits off, and I'll catch you in the next one.